Okay, so goal is to finish the 7th parak today. So let's reread it, and then I decided to I don't know if you want to call it cheating or not, but I looked at the Artscroll footnotes yeah. In the Gemara, to bring in, to bring in like the additional Mefarshim, because we tried looking at Rashi yesterday and couldn't find anything. So let's just read it again. Misha halach b'skora upasko lav anshe ha'ir shahalach sham tzedakah. Someone who goes on business to another place, and the people in the city that he's going to levy a tzedakah tax on him. He gives it to the people, to the poor of that city. And if there are many, upasko alein tzedakah, meaning if there are many people who go to this other city to do business, and they levy a tax on them, nosnim, then the people give it to the gabayim, ukashen bayim, and then when the people come back to their hometowns, mivim osa imahem, they bring the money with them. Umafarnasin ba Aniyim, and they give it to the people in their own city. And so our question was, what's the point in the people collecting it if they're just going to give it back? And if it's for chashad, so then how does this get out of the chashad? Like, they could still get out of the tzedakah. Okay, so footnote guy in Artscroll says, so we did the Gemara yesterday, which is the same thing. So it says, town officials are authorized to tax the community to raise charity funds and to force individuals to pay the amounts for which they were assessed. A visitor of less than 30 days, which is a new fact, okay, which is just in terms of like how long this is going on, who intends to return to his home cannot be forced to contribute. Nevertheless, if the town officials did levy such a tax against him, he is subject to the rules set forth here. Okay, so that's why the Rambam, that's explaining one thing that we didn't really notice. That's why the Rambam said, he didn't say the word im, but like the question is like, if they did this, if they charged him with this tax, then he has to pay it. But it doesn't mean that they have to. Okay, it's just something that they did. Okay, next fact. Although they're so the Gemara said, so they should give the assessed amount. Okay, and footnote 39. This is what we did in Rashi. Although they're not obligated to contribute, and ultimately their contributions will be refunded, they should nevertheless comply, lest people suspect them of not paying charity taxes. So I think we were thinking of it that people will suspect them of like not doing their mitzvah tzedakah. This is making it clear that people will suspect them of just like getting out of the charity taxes that they should be taxed when they're in the city, So everyone has to go through the motions of giving the taxes to the people in the city, even if it's going to be returned to them, because you don't want to have people having exceptions, in terms of like not giving money. So that makes more sense than what we had yesterday, I think. Yeah. And then this last part I think is also in line with what we did yesterday, which is ukashen bayin. Oh, we read this. Sorry, this is the brisa now. Oh, so the brisa is the one that clarified for an individual. If an individual went to another town and they taxed him for charity, then it should be given to the poor of that town. So it quotes a Meiri. In fact, we could just look at the Meiri instead of relying on the Artscroll. What?
It seems I'm hearing that the Amora is not prone at exemptions.
Except for all the stuff that says Talmidei Chachamim don't have to pay certain taxes. Megillah 27a, Meiri. I assume this is the Meiri here. Or not. Oh, here we go. Bnei ha'ir shehim rabim shalchu le'ir acheres upasko aleim tzedakah nosnim osa liyad gabay ha'ir shelo yichashtu benoderin ve'ena nosnim. That must be a phrase. So people don't expect them of being noder and not giving. Achar kach, because I think it is. I think we're going to see later on that it's the form of a netter. I think. I don't know what mechanism they use to tax though. The achar kach chozrin benoderin osa. Mayhem, then they could take it back. L'tzorach Aniyim to give it to the people in their city. V'shuv ein bahem chashad achar shehi frishuha. See, that's clarifying also. Then there's no chashad since they separated it. V'al yachid shalach le'ir acheres upasko alav tzedakah batel hu eitzel hamakom. That's a weird phrase, but a yachid who goes to a city and they levy a tax on him for tzedakah, he's batel vis-a-vis the makom. V'tzidkaso omedes l'sham kishar Dakaso, I don't know how his tzedakah doesn't mean his righteousness. stands there like the other tzedakos shel bnei osa ha'ir, like the other people in the city. V'rabim she'amru. So the rabbim that they said yesh parshu ad asara. So some say, so we read in the Ravaz, it's the majority of the people. Here he's saying, some explain it that it's up to 10. Hayab osa makam shenadru l'shem chacham. Hamis asik. No, this has got to be a different thing. All right, let's just go back to the summary here. So he says, in contrast to the contributions of a group of visitors, the donation of an individual visitor is not refunded when he leaves town. Rather, his contribution is distributed to the local poor. An individual perforce becomes subordinate to the public. That's what it means he's batal to the makom. Whereas a group retains a separate identity. Some say the 10 people are needed to constitute a group. What was that? Of necessity, I guess. Yeah. You mean could the people? So it sounds like you, from the previous halakhas we read, that they do have a responsibility to their own city first, right? So it sounds like they should take it back and then give it to the people at home, right? Well, okay. I mean, subject to the Aruch HaShulchan's thing, that the Aruch HaShulchan says, like, ultimately, it doesn't mean you only fill up one tier and then go to the other tier. Like, like let's say these people are giving tzedakah to the people at home through their non-business funds. So then, yeah, they could give it to the city, presumably. Yeah, like if they give it the money back to you, so you can do what you want with it.
You're not going to end up doing more in your house than what you. You have to take it out, or
no, I don't think so. You could probably give it to the buying. I don't see why you'd have to. Yeah, what were you saying, Akiva?
It's like a toll almost.
It's like a what?
A thing like a toll.
Yeah, right. Stock a toll. Yeah.
Unless you get out there. Are there also saying like just like sun giving? Does it sound like more like how community should collect their stuff?
Yeah, it is. It sounds more like what rights the city has to collect taxes, but with Chaim's question, I think that still is a question of like, how do you like what agency do you have when they give it back to you about agency or obligation do you have about supporting your own hometown? Yeah.
For somehow in my mind, I was assuming that they were just giving it to their city's authorities, not giving it to you.
Yeah.
I think they're going to you.
Why?
Oh, it depends. No, it depends. No?
I thought they're giving it.
Wasn't that tomorrow?
Let's see. Well, I think we read it in Rashi, right? Rashi.
Yeah,
No steam also look away tzedakah. Kadesh lo yichashtim b'poskim ina no steam. Ukshin ba'im chozim l'makom tovim osan min hagabayim. They, the business people, demand it from the gabayim. Umafarnasin ba aniyim Iran. Right. So they. It sounds like the businessmen get it back. Not that it goes.
It doesn't seem like there's more applied in the law.
It doesn't sound like there's one.
I mean, I'm saying it sounds more like that than the tomorrow. That you're giving it to the business owners, not.
Yeah. How did the Gemara say it? They bring it with them. Yeah. Right. They bring it with them. Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty clear. Okay, so I think that takes. Then we just said if there's a chavir, then he could distribute it however he wants. Okay, last halacha. Omer tnu masayim dinar lebeis hakneses. So if a guy says, give $200 to the shul, okay, tnu sefer Torah lebeis hakneses, or donate a sefer Torah to the shul.
A lot more.
Yeah, yitnu lebeis hakneses shehu ragil bo. They should give it to the beis hakneses that he frequents. Okay. So I guess the case is where he didn't specify which one to give it to. I saw someone in the Chabad.org footnotes, they said, it must be he's on his deathbed, because otherwise you would just ask him, like, which one did you mean, unless you get into like Nidarim halachas about like, who did he obligate himself to, but that doesn't seem to be the approach he's taking. Also, maybe you could say it's Yitznu. What? The Lashon doesn't seem to express it that way, right? It sounds like it's a matter of figuring out what his kavana was, as opposed to what he obligated himself in. Like the Makbili says, sorry, hold on, let's just finish reading the halakha first. And if he goes to 2 shuls, yitnu l'shneim. They should give to both of them. Ha'omer tenu masayim dinar la'aniyim. If he says give 200 dinar to the poor, yitnu la'aniyim osa ha'ir. You give it to the poor of that city. Okay, so let's look at Makbila and then we'll take questions. So Yitnu lebeis hakanesa shu ragebosh nira she's kaven lazeh. So it seems like he intended for that. Yitnu l'shnehem, give it to both of them. In bar im hakavana she kabel kol echad mehem machatziso. It's not clear whether each of the shuls gets half. She's chalku what?
Half a Torah?
No. Then that's equal to no Torah. Half of the 200 dinar. She's chalku b'shim. Sorry. Oh no, you're right. She's chalku b'shimush Sefer Torah of Gudama, and they split the use of the Sefer Torah, not the Sefer Torah itself. Like they share it.
I understand it's a Ryan that it means
Yeah.
That's by good money, or like when they.
Well, the money they would actually split, but then if it's a Sefer Torah, then you can't split that, so they share it. You know.
I was trying to bring a Ryan that they don't want it.
That they don't split it.
Well,
because from the fact that you can't split the Sefer Torah.
I was thinking splitting the Sefer Torah is like saying that splitting a cow where you sell it and whatever, or you
Right, the problem is
or you say he gives like half of the amount of a Sefer Torah to each shul.
Right, but you can't sell a Sefer Torah, right?
Oh, right.
Why'd you not be
We'll
able
have to
to
look at
sell? Why'd you not be able to sell for shul maintenance?
Well, I don't remember the halachos. Let's look at it after this. Or you give the entire sum to both of them, meaning like you have to buy 2 Sefer Torah and give 1 to each. Yeah. So I think we can agree that the kavanah here, that the case here is where you don't know what the guy meant and there's no way to find out. Right? The guy died, or let's say like he put someone I don't know in charge of his funds and you can't contact the guy. So really quickly, let's just look at the halachos of selling a Sefer Torah. I think are in Hilchos Sefer Torah or Tefilah. I think it's in Hilchos Tefilah for some reason. Yeah, I
don't know.
Purchase it.
You can definitely purchase it.
Selling it after you own it.
I think there's limitations.
I mean, there were limitations, but the basic use of basic as one of those.
Definitely, I don't remember.
Yeah, I thought you went through all those there, but that we did last year. But let's see. Ava, Tefilah Bekius Kehnim. Okay, let's see. This is Mutter Lasos, basic analysis, base midrash. Thank you. Yeah, so let's read the whole halacha. Let's read it in the good Rambam. Yud Aleph 14. This is not doofus. Michal Mamre is not a doofus.
Oh,
no. It's just this one is going to bring down all the girsaos and this one relies on the Yemenite manuscripts over the Rambam's own, over the one based on the Rambam's own handwriting. And the Yemenite manuscripts are not reliable in terms of they're not uniform. The story is not the story. The facts are, when Yemen got the manuscripts, they commissioned 3 copies from the Rambam, and they got 3 copies that went to Yemen, and the 3 copies are not internally consistent with each other. And so the way that Rav Sheila decides between them is, if you have the one that is based on what the Rambam signed off on versus the Yemenite manuscripts, you rely on the one that the Rambam signed off on, whereas Kafak will rely on the Yemenite manuscripts, and he'll even rely on Yemenite minhag over the Rambam's own handwritten things. Yeah.
If they're not, if the Rambam wasn't being medayek his lashon, isn't that like as if he sent them 3 different?
Rambam didn't write them.
I thought you said that Rambam sent 3 different versions.
No, Rambam didn't send them. No. The Yemenite scribes went and commissioned 3 versions of the Mishnah, 3 copies of the Mishnah Torah, and then they had people write them out for them, and then they send them back. Rambam didn't write them in his own hand. Okay, there's really quick thing. I really meant to go over this at the beginning of the year. Okay, so there's the Lahavdil, the Holy Grail of Mishnah Torahs, which we don't have, which is there's a copy that the Rambam wrote himself in his own handwriting, okay, in his own base midrash that he allowed people to come and copy from, okay, and that was the one he was constantly updating. We don't have that one, and we don't know what happened to it, but we can trace like certain speculations about it. Okay, then there's what's called either the Sefer Hamuga or the Oxford,
the Muga.
Oxford 577 Huntington 80. Okay.
Yes.
That is the version of the Mishnah Torah that was copied from the Rambam's handwritten Mishnah Torah, but we only have the Hakdama, Sefer Hamada, and Sefer Ava, and the Nusach Tefilah from it, which is good. If you're going to lose any part of the Mishnah Torah, like don't lose those, And that is the most complete, accurate version that we have. And then the Yemenite, and that was copied by a Chacham. Okay. We don't know who produced the Yemenite manuscripts. It could have just been copyists who just wrote down copies, and the copies that went to Yemen are all internally inconsistent. So you've got two things going for you about the Oxford. One is that it was written based off of the Rambam's personal copy, and it was written by a Chacham, and it's also and also you don't have the pagam of the internal inconsistencies in the three Yemenite ones. Yeah, all right. Well, this is a separate thing. Let's just read this thing. Okay. Mutter lasos beis knesses beis midrash. You can make a beis knesses into a beis midrash. About beis ha-midrash, eno sin also the beis knesses. But you can't do the other way around. Shekadushas beis ha-midrash yasir al kedushas beis knesses. The kedusha of a beis midrash is greater than the one of beis knesses. U'ma'alim b'kodesh v'lo moridin. We go up in kodesh, not down. V'chein b'nei ha'ir shemachru beis knesses yesh lahen likach midamav teva. You could sell a beis knesses to buy an ark. Machru teva yeshlan likach b'demeha mitpachos otik o sefer Torah. With an ark, you can buy the coverings of the sefer Torah or the bag for the sefer Torah. Machru mitpachas otik. If you sell the coverings or the bag, lochlim b'dam of chumashim, you could buy chumashim, which are the individual scrolls of Bereshis, Shemos, etc. Machru chumashim lochlim sefer Torah, and you could sell chumashim to buy a sefer Torah. Well, im machru sefer Torah. In lokchim badam of ela sefer Torah acher. Okay, you can only sell the sefer Torah to buy another sefer Torah. Shein sham kedusha lamala kedusha sefer Torah. So that's what I was saying of splitting a sefer Torah. What are you going to gain from that, right? You're gonna, if you're gonna sell the sefer Torah to buy, to commission two other so the sharing the sefer Torah is really the only viable solution. Yeah. Or you could, I don't know, you could sell half of it and then give it to them and say you could buy your own sefer Torah from them. Yeah, right. Yeah, fine.
Is that only in the context of the Shlomo?
I think
individual sell sefer Torah.
I thought this was a thing in general from the Kedusha sefer Torah.
Is that what it is?
Let's see. I thought so. I don't really know, but yeah, I thought those were. I thought this is even on an individual. I don't know though. Yeah, Yosef.
I guess if you say how does Sofer ease?
What?
Well, the Sofer I don't think is selling. Is the Sofer selling the Sefer Torah?
Getting money for his work.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I'm not sure. I've never looked into that issue before.
Also,
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like it. He doesn't say anything about who you're selling. Do you have to sell it to another shul? Do you have to sell it to
Seemingly, I was.
sell it on the market?
I assume you could. Yeah, I don't know about a non-Jew, but I assume you can sell it to to anyone because it's missed for every Jew to write or commission a Sefer Torah. Yeah. Okay. So Bli Neder. How many weeks do we have till Hanukkah? Yeah. So just one, right?
Just one.
Yeah, right. Because Hanukkah, Yeshua's wedding is on the 26th, and that's the last day of Hanukkah. So Hanukkah. So this should be good. So we can have No, we can't, right? And I'm saying yeah. But I think Hanukkah took us a lot quicker than we thought when we did it 2 years ago. We'll see what happens this year, but I think we'll definitely do it. Yeah. Oh, that's true. Also, yeah, you're right. Yeah, we had many hours. Yeah.